Hello, today we have a wonderful recipe for you. This is jalapeno cheese bread. This bread is toasty, cheesy, a little bit spicy, and just plain delicious. And this recipe is low in carbohydrates, so perfect for those of you who are watching their carb intake. And for those on a low carb diet, sometimes you just need that little piece of bread to dip in that wonderful bowl of soup, or a little bit of bread to sop up some of that delicious sauce on your plate. Well, this recipe is for you. And for those who are not on a low carb diet, how can you say no to bread, cheese, and jalapenos? So let's get started. These are the ingredients that you're going to need. We have some almond flour, some double acting baking powder, some butter and eggs, cheese, and jalapeno. Now, what I have here is xanthan gum, and xanthan gum is an ingredient that acts as a binder, just like some of the eggs you see there. So we're going to get started by, in a large bowl, we're going to put in 1 cup of almond flour, and this is basically almonds that are ground up into a flour. Next, we're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and this is double acting baking powder, just so that we need a little bit more lift here because there really isn't flour or anything to hold it up. And then I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now this is the binder for this recipe along with the eggs. They both serve as binders. Now if you are vegetarian and want to skip the eggs, what you can do is substitute more xanthan gum. So now that the dry ingredients are mixed up, I'm going to add a little bit of butter. And by a little bit, I mean about 4 tablespoons or so. This is going to make it silky, savory, and adds a nice buttery, creamy flavor to it. So once the butter is added, I'm going to use the 2 egg whites here, and I'm going to whip that up, break that up before adding it to the mixture. So again, if you are vegetarian and want to skip the eggs, you can replace, for every egg, you can use 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum and 1/4 cup of water. So for this I'm using 2 egg whites, so you're going to double that. So 2 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum and 2 1/4 cups of water. So you're going to mix that up until it looks like a paste, and we're going to incorporate some water here, about 1/4 cup, and I'm going to add that slowly and incorporate that into the batter here. And this really isn't a dough, this really becomes a batter, and in the end it becomes kind of like a pancake batter. So I'm going to incorporate that slowly so that it mixes well. So I'm going to add some more water, and I'm going to continue doing that, mixing, making sure all the water is incorporated, and adding more until it resembles something like this, a thick pancake batter. So next what I'm going to do is add a little bit of salt to it, just to give it a little bit of extra flavor. And then we're going to add the jalapeno and the cheese. So I'm using about half a jalapeno here and about 1/4 cup of shredded medium cheddar cheese. And we're going to mix this up, and essentially this batter is ready to go. So I'm using a muffin tin here, but these are muffin top tins. So it's not a full muffin tin, it's very shallow. And I'm going to distribute that batter into the tins. I've oiled it with a little bit of olive oil, and this should make 12 portions. So you just fill them up as evenly as you can, and we're going to bake them. And I'm going to bake them in my favorite little device here. This is a toaster oven, but this is a steam toaster oven made by Cuisinart. I think they're the only ones who make a steam oven in toaster oven format, and you can see all the steam is in there. And there is a bake setting that I'm using, so it basically heats from the top and bottom, and it injects steam into the oven cavity. So all I do is put the muffin tin in the oven, and we're going to bake this for about 12 to 15 minutes. And as we're baking, you can see it rising with the baking powder, and you can see it bubbling away. And after 12 or 15 minutes, this is what you get. A nice golden brown bread that's essentially ready to serve. They come out in the pan quite easily, and they're crusty on the outside, but inside they're nice and soft. Now I take this to the next level. If there wasn't enough cheese or jalapenos in there, I'm going to add a little more. So I'm going to take my rack here, a pan with a rack on top, and I'm going to take one of these breads and I'm going to slice it in half. Be careful watching your fingers, no blood in here. So I'm going to cut them in half, and you can see how much cheese and jalapeno are distributed throughout the bread. So I'm going to use a couple of portions here. I'm using 3 biscuits, and I'm going to top them up with cheese. So again, I'm going to use the shredded medium cheddar cheese, and I'm going to distribute those on all 6 slices, and then finally I'm going to top it up to give it a little spice, some jalapenos, some diced up jalapenos. And remember, after you're sprinkling this on, make sure you wash your hands. You're going to get a nasty surprise if you scratch your eyes. So we can now place this in the broiler, and we place that for about 5 to 7 minutes. And after 5 or 7 minutes, they come out looking like this. It's nice and toasty, and as I rip them apart, you can see just how soft they are inside, and I just can't resist. That was delicious. But it is nice and melted and stringy and soft. And now this is ready to serve with your favorite bowl of soup. Tear that apart, and it's perfect for dipping. And again, I just can't resist here. It's going in 3, 2, 1, kaplunk. There we go. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. I hope you give this a try. So if you're looking for this recipe or any other recipes, please visit KetoInfo.com/recipes. And until we see each other again, goodbye.